The filmmaker of The Wild Robot has formally announced that a sequel is in the works as the film continues to captivate audiences in theaters. Based on the beloved book, the animated movie has already made plans for a sequel, and fans are thrilled. The Wild Robot centers on Roz, a robot who gets stuck on an isolated island with only animals for company because of a storm. Because of her programming, which forces her to perform any task assigned to her, Roz ends up adopting a newborn gooseling after killing the rest of his family by accident. As she gets the young goose, whom she names Bright Bill, Roz is forced to fight against her programming all the time. Both critics and fans alike have praised the film for its excellent animation, emotional themes, and heartfelt original score by Chris Bowers. Not to mention some excellent voice acting, especially from Pedro Pascal and Lupita Nyong'o, who plays the parts of Fink, a cunning red fox who becomes Roz's first animal companion. The way the film presents the natural world is another element that sets it apart. The movie does not hold back from depicting nature in all its beauty and horror, even though the animal characters require a certain amount of anthropomorphism. The film makes it apparent right away that it will not follow the typical path taken by family films when portraying nature, even before Roz wakes up on the island. During the first 5 minutes, a bird snatches up a crab that Roz followed up by a cliffside. Later, when Roz finds a lovely collection of butterflies, she sees one of them devoured by a raven, followed by the raven being attacked by a lynx, which then decapitates it. Fink and Roz first cross paths when Fink tries to steal and eat Bright Bill in his egg, but he eventually becomes Roz's friend and partner in raising Bright Bill. After that, he deceives Roz into assisting him in obtaining food, which is primarily shellfish. These opening sequences demonstrate that the Wild Robot's predators are considered more like their real-world counterparts. They hunt only because they have to, not because they are malevolent. Despite Fink becoming Roz's friend, she leaves the young Bright Bill with him at one point, and he chastates her for being so irresponsible. After that, he's a fox. Roz sacrifices herself in the bittersweet conclusion of The Wild Robot by going back to Universal Dynamics to defend the island and its people. But the possibility of her coming back lingers and raises the possibility of a sequel, as does the scene that occurs after the credits have rolled. That is where Wild Robot Escapes comes in, which basically continues where the Wild Robot movie left off. Considering how true the original work the film is, it is highly probable that a sequel to the book will be a basis for another film. Roz, who is assimilated into the island and even views it as a home, is prepared to organize her return to the island at the exact moment that the Wild Robot escape begins. Nevertheless, she receives a new assignment at Hilltop Farm, which is owned by Mr. Sharif. Roz puts a lot of effort into this task, and even though she starts to enjoy her job and takes care of Mr. Sharif's 2 kids, Jaya and Jad, she never stops missing Bright Bill and the beach. Her transmitter is taken away by Jad and Jaya, who aid in her escape. In the meantime, Bright Bill, who has learned of her mother's whereabouts from other geese flocks, meets her again at Hilltop Farm. On the way back to the island, he tries his best to assist her, but they encounter numerous challenges, such as encounters with a pack of wolves that are troublesome and led by a wolf named Shadow, and a pursuit through a crowded city where Roz is being pursued by the Rekos. These challenges create a sense of suspense that really ups the ante for both Roz and Bright Bill, giving the impression that Roz will never return to the island. Instead of concentrating on the island, The Wild Robot Escapes presents Roz's new environment, which is the Hilltop Farm and the nearby human city. The reason Mr. Sharif needs a robot like Roz to take care of the farm for him in the first place is because it's messy when Roz gets there. Although she turns against Shadow and his fellow wolves, Roz ends up becoming friends with the cows on the farm. The farm is even hit by a tornado once, which leaves Roz in poor condition until Mr. Sharif and his kids can fix her. There are a lot of robots in the human city, many of whom are performing tasks for their human owners. As Roz makes her way back to the island, she passes through the city and meets more animals, including rats and pigeons. To make her journey go more quickly, she even takes the train. This is a far cry from the island setting where the majority of the story takes place in The Wild Robot. Even though there is isn't much time spent here on the farm. When Roz's leg breaks apart and she is cut off from Bright Bill and has nowhere else to go, they retake her. She meets Dr. Malvo, her designer in person, when she awakens. Being in charge of creating the robot, Dr. Malvo is well acquainted with Roz's tale and even acknowledged that she admires all that Roz has achieved while living on the island. Nevertheless, the doctor maintains that Roz must be destroyed for the benefit of all people, and the robot is turned off in spite of Roz's cries for forgiveness. But when Roz awakens, she finds that Dr. Malvo has placed her head on a stronger body, one without a power button, even though she is no more in her Rosm 713 body. After that, the doctor takes Bright Bill and Roz back to the island in her own ship, where she promises to watch over it and make sure that humanity doesn't pose any more threats. After celebrating her return home with the other animals on the island, Roz spends time with her son and watches the sunset. In a number of ways, the wild robot has prepared this tale for its follow-up. Most significantly, the film ends with Roz promising to return to the island someday. She says this is to reassure the animals who are sad to see her leave, especially after they have fought so hard to keep her there. Additionally, it suggests that Roz's actual character has not changed, as she and Bright Bill share a touching moment when he pays her a visit during his subsequent migration. Viewers are reassured by these two instances that Roz is able to return home in the future. Additionally, the more significant elements of wild robot escapes have been established. As the leader of this migration group, Bright Bill has the courage and independence to go off and assist Roz in returning home. In addition to Bright Bill, Roz has other reasons for returning to the island, chief among them being Fink's suggestion that he also wishes to confess his love for her. If DreamWorks decides to adapt the sequel to the first book, it should be easy for the Wild Robot movie to do so. Naturally, Roz and Bright Bill are the two primary characters who make a comeback in the Wild Robot escapes. Roz continues to be the primary subject, while Bright Bill makes a comeback to assist in guiding his mother home. There aren't any other characters from the Wild Robot throughout most of this narrative. When the story fully returns to the cherished island and its residents at the end of the sequel, the animals of the island do get to make an appearance. With the amazing cast of the Wild Robot, they would definitely want to take advantage of this opportunity. Chris Saunders, the film's director and writer, has stated that he will go back to work on the story's continuation. Regarding the forthcoming movie, no other information was provided. Given how many projects DreamWorks Animation is working on, it may take some time for the company to return to this realm. When viewers will be able to see the creatures from Peter Brown's book again is a matter of time. Ultimately, it's unclear whether this sequel will be successful and bring the Wild Robot cast and characters back together in a meaningful way. But this seems like a very real possibility, particularly if the film wins the Best Animated Feature Oscar, which it's a serious contender for. It could grow into a long-running franchise on par with Shrek or Kung Fu Panda if this occurs, becoming a phenomenon far greater than what it has already become. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.